I've ever met. And I would be happy to go ahead and introduce you guys. However, let me introduce the man in charge, Mr. Richard Hardon. He is one of our top producers, let alone a graduate from Duke of multiple degrees at that. He's definitely been able to to help others bring in a substantial amount of income as well as do it for him and his family. But what I love about him most is that he's always willing to have fun. He's always that guy on the dance floor, are willing to help a friend. So I must say, without further ado, go ahead and give Mr. Richard Hardon a warm introduction or warm hello. You do please a co-host clap or say hello off mute.
Woo, woo.
Thank you.
Hey, Mr. Hardon.
It is, it's really a pleasure. And now here's the cool thing. We're a small group, so I'd like for us to have an intimate conversation today, speaking specifically about the things that we've been doing in the movement with Make Wealth Real. But before I say anything about those things or myself, I would be remiss if I did not just give back the admiration and respect to Stephanie Stewart, because she is actually, for the state of Wisconsin, the first certified realtor in our MWR certified real estate program. We'll talk about what that is, what that means later as an extension to her practice. She's also built herself the brand Educate to Own. So she focuses on being that real estate agent that goes the next level beyond just selling a house, building relationship with clients, where she teaches them the process for buying a home, helps them find it, and then helps them pay it off so they're in position to buy the next home. So if anybody deserves that round of applause, that love here on Sunday, what is this? It's December already, Sunday, December 5th. Y'all give it up for Stephanie Stewart.
Woo, it's Miles, thank you.
Woo! And then just so that we focus our conversation for the people that are here, because this is in pre-pandemic times, we would probably all be gathered together in a meeting room. I would like for at the end of any of these conversations for us to go away knowing more about one another and how we can serve. So I believe there's power in connection. I'd like for each of you to take some time to introduce yourself so that at the end of this, whether we decide to collaborate or not, we know one another. Is that okay? So here's what I'd like to know. Name, where you are physically, your geography, your region of operation, what you do with your days, especially when it comes to this real estate conversation. You find yourself, in terms of making money in real estate, more on the real estate professional, earning your money through commissions, or as a real estate investor, looking either to be a buy and hold or buy and flip investor, just so that as we go through the individual pieces of our program, we touch on the right. I'll give my example. Richard Hardon. I'm based in Atlanta, Georgia, and I am a real estate investor. Up until now, my strategy's primarily been buy and hold, meaning I like houses. So single family residences have been my preference. And my goal over time is to have enough investment assets for the investments to replace me working. I do have a goal of retiring significantly early while there's still some black hair left. That's it. That's like in my actual goal. So that's an example. So who'd like to go next?
I can go next. Thank you, Richard. I am Tia Glenn from the great state of Virginia.
VA in the house.
And my goal financially is also for my residual and my investment income and real estate to outpace my employment income, because I have a goal also, like Richard, I want to retire early, and I actually want to retire within the next 9 years now. It was 10, but now 9. So I am on to the finish line because I want to hurry up and be able to travel the world and spend time with my kids and then eventually my grandkids. So I'm excited to be able to work towards that goal.
Excellent. Excellent. Let's see who's next.
I'll go next. This is Robin. I am currently in Charlotte, North Carolina. I've been in real estate for 20 years now. What I do with my day, real estate investor. I also work with buyers and sellers, but I also teach real estate pre-licensing
Excellent.
and coach new realtors. So
Outstanding. Excellent.
Look,
All right.
Trisha,
Is that all?
Okay. Hi, I'm Pia McLean, coming in from Maryland. My goal is to be a real estate investor, also buy property in the path of growth. As I'm currently an educator, I have 2 more years before I retire, but it looks like gloom and doom for where I'm standing because they plan on cutting our pension in half from what I'm making now. And I don't know how I'm going to survive on that. So my goal is to replace my salary and possibly triple it so that I can live a life of dignity. I've taken care of so many thousands and thousands of children. Why can't they take care of me?
Right.
Not to do it myself.
Right. Let's get to work on that. That is well, that's near and dear to my heart. Of course, I am married to an educator. Nikki has been now in the classrooms for almost 26 years. So it is, we have seen people come from middle school to become grown-ups, and now they're middle-aged. So it's a whole different thing. All right, and then DT, are you
Hopefully
available,
I'm
audible?
hopefully the video is stable. I'm David Tanner. I'm just outside of Atlanta in Decatur. In real estate, I have had rental properties. I have flipped a couple of properties. Right now, I don't have anything. My most recent deal was some land that I had in Greenville, South Carolina, that we changed the zoning on and then sold to a developer. And so what I'm looking at, my next thing is, that was the most money I ever made on a real estate deal. And so now I'm looking for, I want to skip the houses. I just want to do land, get it rezoned, no tenants, no buyers, just rezone it, sell it to the developer. Boom.
Awesome. Well, see, I'm impressed already. You know, the most important part of a good conversation is having people that talk the same language. And I think we'll have a good conversation this evening. My time objective, I do want to get us out of here by 8, but I have a lot to cover. So I'll jump in, and just by way of background, Stephanie said all those great things about me, but I do want everyone online to know that I don't think my story is that different than any of yours, meaning I always wanted to be wealthy growing up. And the formula that they taught here in the city of Atlanta was you go to school, get good grades so that you can go to college, get a degree, get a good job with benefits, and live happily ever after. Now, I guess as I think about this Zoom, other than me and David, there are no 2 of us in the same state. Is that what they taught where you're from?
Yeah.
And how many of you did those
Yeah.
things to the best of your ability?
All right.
And in my case, I did those things. I graduated actually top of my class from Frederick Douglass High School here in Atlanta. So for 4 years, I didn't make any grade below a 93. And that got me called all kind of things that weren't my given name. Nerd, geek, bookworm. Richard, what's the answer to number 7? But it did leave me with that feeling that graduating, I learned everything the Atlanta public school system intended to teach me. I was able to get an academic scholarship at Duke University. And at Duke, I was a double major. I double majored electrical engineering and computer science because they said that technology and computers, wave of the future, I'll be able to write my own ticket. And I'm blessed to say that I got out into the workplace, was able to go very quickly from my starting salary to a 6-figure income, but found myself just frustrated because I could not figure out how I was going to get wealthy working for someone else. Does that make sense? And so in that time, I really started focusing on my own personal financial education. And a lot of the things I have to admit that I'm able to offer, show, and share today, I wish I had known 20 years ago. Meaning, I mean, you've heard that saying, if you knew then what you know now, you would have done it totally different. there's a lot of things I would have done differently, but the blessing is that I was able to become a part of a partnership with our company, Make Wealth Real, that's MWR, Make Wealth Real Financial, just about 2 years ago. And it's been a game changer and a life changer for me, not just because of the money we have made, but also the relationships that we've started to build around the country, centralizing around the idea that real wealth is possible, but it requires an education that's different than we get in the traditional school system. Put that in your notes. I am never going to let my degree get in the way of my education. Does that make sense? So as I jump in this conversation we have specifically with real estate professionals, because there's a group of people that I'm looking for, like Stephanie Stewart, Natasha Johnson, Dana Turnquist. You'll get to meet some of these folks over time, but really focused on that group of realtors that want to go above and beyond what traditional realtors do to create wealth, not just for themselves, but for the people around them. So I do like to frame up ahead of time who we're looking for, because having done this for a while, I started to see some trends out there with average versus wealthy realtors. And here's the focus, difference in focus. Average realtors are transactional. How many units can I move this month? And wealthy realtors are relational. It's how many times can I help somebody do something that's meaningful to them? Average realtors sell houses. Wealthy realtors become trusted home advisors. And average realtors have that scarcity mentality, like there's not enough supply, there's not enough inventory, there's not enough qualified buyers. And wealthy realtors come from that place of abundance. There's more than enough if we do it right and if we farm versus hunting. Average realtors feel like they got to do it all on their own, while wealthy leverage a team. And then this has been the biggest differentiator for me as I started working with Shane Mask and American Realty School down here in Atlanta. Average realtors know everything already, but those wealthy realtors are always learning, always growing, and they're focused on building their cash flow. I don't think there's anybody in the world, average or not, that doesn't want to be wealthy, but wealthy realtors differentiate themselves by establishing a plan that makes those things happen. Does that make sense? So if you know people like this, let them know I'm looking for them specifically to help with the areas of removing contingency from people's lives. So quick survey, out of that list, which side did you find yourselves on? I mean, I'm assuming that just being on this webinar, you're in the wealthy category, is that right?
Most of.
So as we jump into the conversation, one of our focuses has been on that area of educating people financially about the things that were done and removing the contingencies between people and their money. Meaning, if you want to create wealth in America, we do believe in a strategy, 3 strategic solutions called income shifting for increasing cash flow, building a business income, and using the business income to generate investment income across quadrants. And in my education process, here's what I figured out. All those years, Stephanie, where I thought I wasn't making more money, like I was in the hustle mentality, like make more money, make more money, make more money, make more money. Every time I get a raise, I would always feel like, is that all that comes back? But there is a saying, they say the more you make, the more they take. And what I found is in the United States is not so much how money you make, but how you make your money that makes a difference. And because I was a highly compensated employee, most of my gains were getting eaten away by the 4 challenges. And as we go through our process, through our financial makeover, we're going to come up with strategies to fix the cash flow problem. That's lesson number 1, cash flow. Income is measured in dollars, it's an amount. Cash flow is measured in time. So if you got $1 million income, but you got $2 million in bills,
Broke.
cash flow is 1/2. You just broke on a higher level, right? But if you got an $80,000 income, but only $40,000 in bills, that cash flows 2/1, right? Twice as long as a period of need, so that the money stays in place with you so that it can do more for you. Now I'm blessed. I mean, the information I share, I tell people all the time, this conversation is a combination. It's education and invitation. It's education just on things that we've learned along the way. I didn't make this up, but I did go seek it out. Does that make sense?
Hmm.
And in our process, if we think about it, in terms of increasing cash flow, there's 4 things that you can do fundamentally to get to the place. Oops, let me share my screen with you guys, not just with me. That's more helpful. That's basic kindergarten stuff, right? Share with your friends. To increase cash flow for the average working person. As realtors, I know you've got the blessing. You're in that 1099 category where at least you get to say what your stated income was first and your expenses and pay taxes after. Turns out most of your customers don't have that blessing. Tax 28 to 33% off the top. And then every dollar they spend after that is taxed. So we have strategies for increasing cash flow by first reducing taxes, then increasing credit scores, minimizing taxes, minimizing expenses, minimize debt. Those 3 things go down, credit scores go up, money gets cheaper. Does that make sense? Now, the second thing we allow people to do is just understand themselves as a business. Now, before I go into detail about teaching the cash flow statement, who's seen one of these before? Okay. Pia, this is new. Okay. Because this is the goal. It's for us to understand that each of us is a CEO of Us Incorporated, and the goal is to get our cash to flow the direction of wealthy people. What do I mean? Got to get our expenses to go down. And for most people, the 2 highest, taxes and interest. Then our liabilities. And now I know realtors, don't get mad at me. Don't fight me. Don't fight me. I know that y'all don't like when I put your house that you live in on the liabilities column side of the balance sheet. But face it, the way that it behaves relative to my money, my house takes money out of my pocket, right? But cars, student loans, credit cards, all of those things. And the goal is to have, for anybody that wants to retire early, because that's my new thing. It's not that I'll ever stop working. I just don't want to have to. Can anybody relate to that? I want options.
Absolutely.
So it's that asset class, stocks, bonds, mutual funds, private lending vehicles, collectibles, businesses. All of those things are things that put money into our pockets. And with Rich Dad, that was one of my first financial educators. Robert Kiyosaki had 2 of my favorite books. And he talked about the flow of cash. What'd he say? Pattern on the left. Money comes in through the job and goes out the expense column with little or nothing left or nothing added. That's a cash flow pattern of the poor. Middle class, money comes in from the job, goes out through interest on liabilities as expenses. And then last but not least, on the right, wealthy. Income comes from the assets that supports the life that they live. And once your assets generate enough income for you to live at your current level, you're wealthy. Like because sometimes Richie Rich and Instagram and lifestyles that are rich and famous, people think you need a million bajillion dollars. For our conversation today, let's just settle on the definition that wealthy is when your lifestyle is supported by your investments without anybody in your house having to go and work again. Does that make sense? We good there? And if we can do that for enough people, that's when we start to change things. Now, during this conversation, we'll touch on just the behaviors that our system supports, our invitation only membership. One of the things I got surprised, and as I was thinking about this, Tia, was how the Make Wealth Real program and membership have helped me to maximize the earnings that I have as an employee, put me in a position to really do a better job self-employed, but also gave me access to a business system and investment income all in one membership designed to help people with what we call the financial makeover. Now, I'll bypass my getting our financial house in order in terms of steps to make sure that we clearly delineate the enemy. And that's taxes, debt, big business, and inflation. If you think about the reason that I struggled financially was because taxes was getting me as much as 39% off the top. How many of you know that's frustrating when you realize you have hit the 39% tax bracket?
Very.
So, I mean, because how can you get ahead if you're giving away 40 cents of every dollar that you make? But then that causes most people to go in debt. It's an insidious system that works together, meaning if we had more of the money that we make when we came home, we wouldn't have to borrow so much. But because it's set up that way, but you don't have the $400,000 for the new home, Mr. Tanner, don't worry, we'll get you a mortgage. But you don't have the $50,000 you need for the new ride, Miss Stewart, don't worry. We'll give you a car note. Oh, and you got students that need to go to college here? Don't worry, we will give them loans so that the second 1/3 of the average American's income goes away to taxes and debt. They're left with 1/3. And then in a year like this, it's easy to see how big business and inflation hit together, right? Because we're in the month of December already. Last week we had Thanksgiving and Cyber Monday and Black Friday, yes? But then through that programming, we're already starting to plan for Christmas and the Christmas sales. And every 30 days, there's that cash extraction period between December, you got Christmas, January, New Year's Day, February, there's Valentine's Day, March, spring break, April, Easter, May, Mother's Day. We can keep going. It's every 30 days. There's a retail-oriented way to extract the last 1/3. And that's why most people live paycheck to paycheck. Between you and me, I had not thought about a systematic way to attack those things until I met my mentor in this business. Brian Bean, we'll talk about him a little bit later on, but he shared with me a concept where if we can get those 3 things down and have 3 things go up, life gets better. Now, let me pause and ask, are there any questions so far setting the stage for what we're about to do with our membership? No questions?
Yeah.
Excellent. So here's our goal. 6-figure playbook, straightforward, like we talked about. Taxes, debt, expenses down, cash flow, credit scores, income up, and our membership does those things. And we put together a training system where there's a combination of experts that execute the game plan and mentors that teach us the fundamentals for using it so that you don't have to rely on the person that introduced you to the conversation. Meaning, I know when I got started, my sponsor in this particular enterprise was my brother. He started 2 days before me, but he's 2 years younger. But in our conversation, we're able to get 100% of the information by accessing our invitation-only membership to get the cash back into your lives. Now, I like to get the elephant out of the Zoom up front for realtors in specific to say that we provide access to a team of experts to help your financially challenged members get their house in order, but also provide a benefit to those that already had things going on to lower taxes, destroy debt, shred bills, raise my credit score, grow my assets, and increase my income. So if you think about it, for $80 a month, because right now, well, let me ask, I know, Stephanie, when I met you initially, you already had a system in place that you would refer people. If people came to you without the appropriate credit scores or the right debt to income ratio, what did you do for them then?
Before MWR,
Mm-hmm.
there's a Google account and I need you to research what you're gonna do, because I don't really got nothing too much for you. Like, yeah, we do have city resources and stuff like that, but I didn't really see it helping my clients. If they didn't meet their criteria or their requirements, it was pretty much a do-it-yourself until you are mature enough to get to where you want to go, but it wasn't anybody that can actually help you. Now, after MWR, let's talk about that. After MWR, it's the fact that some of my clients came in and they did not have the right credit. We got somebody for that. Some people did not have the down payment. They thought they could wait for them to get their paycheck and that was going to be enough. Not at all. There's people who didn't understand the process or their taxes. They were going into being self-employed, and I'm not knocking self-employment, but are you tracking it appropriately, or are you writing everything off at the end? So because they didn't know these systems, I was lucky to be able to partner with somebody like you and Make Wealth Real, just because I'm like, I need you to be a little bit more on, let me not cuss. I need you to be more together so that you can get to that next step.
No,
and I didn't have to do it myself. Like, I already am busy, so they do it all for me. So that's about the benefit more so.
That's an important point. And one of the things I really like about how you've extended your practice using the membership is that, because here's what's true. Most people have the best credit they know how to get. Their credit score is as good as it's going to get. If you send them away to work on it for a year, if you talk to them next year, you know what their credit score is going to be?
The same exact number, if not worse.
Right. So it is one of those things where we're able to offer proactive solutions where we have experts that work in the area of credit restoration first, but also in the area of debt reduction and debt elimination. Let's talk about tax reduction and debt elimination, specifically because of the impact it has on debt to income ratio. You have to think about it. Average person taking home a paycheck, according to the IRS, 80% of them overpay in taxes on a paycheck by paycheck basis. How do I know? I was one of them. Meaning, when I started working with our experts, what they talked to me about was my overpayment of taxes historically. They gave me an adjusted W-4 based on my previous performance in taxes. And for me, that gave me a raise from my job. I made an extra $636 per paycheck. That's $1,272 per month coming back into our household from my job. Does that make sense? And then using that in combination with our debt elimination strategy, we were able to knock out $52,000 in credit card bills in a year. And that increased our cash flow in two ways. So now the cash flow is better because of the experts providing systems and frameworks. I didn't have to figure this out, and I was able to save more of the money that I was already making. That's phase one, is just saving money. Making sense so far? Mm-hmm. Then you add to that our credit restoration specialists, where it's a combination. I know there's a lot of talk in the industry about credit repair. I think here in the city of Atlanta, I see a sign on the highway every couple of miles that says, "We'll fix your credit for $750. No, they really won't. But included in our membership is comprehensive credit restoration, where there's repair, rebuilding, and education, helping people get the best credit scores of their lives. I know for me personally, most of my life I've been in the high sixes, low sevens, but right now today, thanks to working with our experts following their plan, I'm at 824, right? We're just able to refinance this house that we live in down from 5.75% to 2.9%. It saves us hundreds of dollars a month on our mortgage. Again, it wasn't something that I would have done by myself. I know you can write letters, but I wasn't doing that. you can make calls. I wasn't doing that. I have a team that does those things. I upload the reports, they send the results, and then we got a team of professional negotiators that help lower the bills that I can never pay off: phone bill, internet, cable, our security system, even our pest control, to where we're able to increase the cash flow by reducing the taxes, debts, the bills. Does that make sense? Those three things go down using our experts. And it's not just me. I know there's some other folks on the line. I know Pia in particular was one of my favorite people to work with on her debt elimination process because of the impact that it has for her as an educator and her exit window from the school system. Pia, you want to tell everybody about how debt elimination system worked for you?
Yes. So what I did was I uploaded the information into the portal, and they sent me back. And what I found out is the creditors had me in debt for 44 years and 4 months. When they got finished, I was down to 3 years and 2 months. So they shaved off $125,503.
$125,000 in interest savings. And you know, the best thing about the way the debt elimination plans work is not debt consolidation, is not that you're refinancing anything, but it's a structured, systematic approach using the same money you're making. Don't mess around and have some extra money to throw on that fire. But imagine you said, T, you went from 40 years down to
44 years and 4 months to 3 years.
Down to 3 years and 2 months. And if you think about it, y'all give it up for Pia, just for taking action, making a plan, and then using the experts to get where she's going. And it, you know, it's so many different ways because it's not a cookie cutter system. It just attacks all of the areas where people have needs in their lives. So that's the first step in our process in the financial makeover, by the way. If you write in your notes, I know people say, what's a financial makeover? Well, you think about what you want to do when you have a body makeover. Most people want to lose some fat. They want to build new muscle and flexibility, but also that cardiovascular endurance so that they can go for longer. Does that make sense? Same thing with the financial makeover. First thing is we cut out the bad stuff, but then the second aspect is making and growing money. I'm going to talk about growing and making money specifically because of this conversation. And so before I do that, let me pause and say, this is why the Financial Edge has been my real estate partner's best friend. Meaning now you have a way to continue the conversation with somebody that's not quite ready up front, or to help somebody that just signed those papers, you know, signing papers for an hour, to say that you're going to pay $1 million for a $300,000 house. Is it just me? Now you're able to equip them with something to extend the relationship beyond the transaction and to help them get out of what might be fretful for them. Does that make sense?
And can I say something else?
Sure.
When I first encountered the business, I really got in to get the money back through your paycheck. But at that time, I was owing Uncle Sam thousands of dollars because I became an empty nester. And I didn't realize that when I became the empty nester and dropped the other business that I had, that the government was going to come in and flood me with thousands of dollars. So what they did was they went in and they worked on my paperwork so that I was able to take it in and get it so that they would bring me down to a zero instead of owing those thousands of dollars.
Awesome. I mean, think about, I mean, it's so much.
So it's not a cookie cutter system.
How relieving did it feel to you to have someone to help you? Because I think IRS and tax burden are some of the most nerve-wracking words that people hear. I know for me, it's because it's a combination. It's the way the laws changed over the last 4 years. So that last president in 2018 did some things as far as homeowners are concerned. I don't say his name, but I'm gonna tell you, it had an impact on what we could do with taxes. And if you messed around and your children got gone, but they were still in your pocket at the same time, I don't know if anybody can relate to that. Is that just me?
Right now, my son is contacting me saying, Mom, can you lend me some money because I need to pay my rent?
Right. No, here's the one. Can you loan me $5 till tomorrow? Just wait till tomorrow. If you only need $5 and you need it tomorrow, but you're gonna have it tomorrow, just wait till tomorrow. But I digress. But here's the idea. First, save the money. Second, grow the money. And by the way, just our stats over 2 years have been great. We with the membership, we helped our members save $10 million a month plus. And for most people that shows up, if you got a W-2, as increases in pay for work. You got 12,000 members that have increased their credit scores anywhere from 50 to 150 points. Saved not just the money, it's the time, 29,400 years from their debt sentences, $1 million in bills, and we've helped generate investment income. And this is what I'll talk about next, because this is where, as a real estate professional, you have ways to extend what you're already doing, but to address both a part of the community that most people don't have a way to help, but also put them in a position to understand the situation when it comes to passive portfolio income. So when we talk about the MWR passport, now we're talking about ways to grow and protect the money that you make with real estate, land banking, and a vehicle that allows us to become our own bank called a private reserve account. Now, I'm going to talk about these in reverse order today, specifically because of how we've been able to apply them to our lives. But I also want to introduce you to one of my favorite co-hosts, Tia Glenn. she talks about her experience with private reserve account and land banking. If these terms aren't familiar to you, land banking allows us to invest in land in the path of growth. So we're able to buy deeds in an area together as a collective. We've purchased significant property near Warren. That's Warren Buffett down there in the bottom left. If you're wondering who the prognosticating white man is, that's Warren Buffett. His energy efficient bus company is right there across from the land that my partners Ruthie and I, along with Jasmine, have bought. You get the land, but you don't get the traditional headaches of dealing with tenants and toilets and all of those things. But as people come through in this area, our initial investment was $50,000, and the land appraised, I just looked at my appraisal for this year, 43% higher from 50,000 in to 78,000 in value over a year. We were expecting a 20 to 25% return over the course of the year. So I know the market's crazy, but I love having money make money like that. Does that make sense? Now, the second thing is a concept called a private reserve account. I had read about private reserve accounts in Tony Robbins' book, Money Mastering the Game. I just didn't know where to get access to it. Can anybody relate to knowing something exists, but not knowing how to get it?
Right.
And Tia and I both talked about this from the standpoint of our next real estate investment. I know for me, when I started the business, it was my goal to get another investment property. And I had started the process, hey, Kenyatta, of saving the money, but I was in a place where I was saving my money in what I call my offshore account. Does anybody have a place where you hide money from yourself?
Yes.
Yeah, so I have a credit union account where I don't have checks or a checkbook or a debit card. It's like when it's time to get money from there, I have to send it in, right? And, that was the highest interest rate that I ever got on that account was at 0.5%. 0.5%. With the private reserve account, what the thing I loved about it was it gave me liquid access to funds, because I think most of us are taught traditional banking. And rather than me explain this to you, are you okay to talk about the difference between private reserve account, being your own bank, and what happens in traditional banking?
Sure.
Let me brag about you first, because I love Tia's perspective on this, because in real life, she does corporate finance. She's got degrees in marketing and accounting. And during the day, she's a CFO of one of the major broadcast networks there in Virginia. But when it comes to personal finance, there's just so many things that people aren't taught. But when she shared this with me, I said, you need to tell that to everybody. So I'm going to turn it over to you. Everybody give it up for Tia Glenn.
Go
Thank you,
Tia.
Richard.
Hey, Tia.
Hey, Pia. You are doing a phenomenal job, Richard, breaking down this information. Thank you so much. Man, I tell you, I am really excited about the private reserve account. My husband and I have been investing for years. My husband's an accredited investor, and we had not heard about the private reserve account, right? So we both had money in various investment accounts and also 401ks or 403bs, whatever you have at your employer. But the private reserve account is a game changer, because the private reserve account, the primary difference between a PRA, which is the private reserve account, and a traditional 401k is the way the money grows, right? So when the market crashes, especially if you're heavily invested in stocks and EFTs, your money is going to go down when the stock market goes down. And if you were to borrow money from your 401k, especially as realtors, you may have clients borrowing for their first home or whatever they're borrowing for. When you pull that money out, only the money that's remaining in your 401k continues to be invested and grow with the market. But the game changer with the PRA, if you pull money out of the private reserve account, the full value that you originally put in continues to be invested and growing. And if the stock market takes a downturn, your money stays level and it's locked in and it's continuing to grow at double-digit returns and beyond. And so that was a game changer for me, because I want to keep my money growing with the market and have zero risk of loss. And that is the provision of the private reserve account. And most importantly, because I'm always looking to tax shelter. So most importantly, with the private reserve account is there are no tax consequences, which is a beautiful thing. And I have a teenage son who is doing biomedical. And so I need to be able to cover the cost of his college. And so the private reserve account is also another great tool for being able to fund your kids' college. So that's the concept of the self-banking, right? So you can borrow your own money and you can pay yourself back or not, and there is no penalty. And so I love the private reserve account.
I mean, and just conceptually, because this is one thing that most people don't think about in our relationships with banks, right? A bank, by definition, the product they sell is money. Whose money do they sell? Our money.
Your
It happens
money.
all the time. We put money in savings. They make you keep that minimum or charge you money so that they can make money when they loan that out as mortgages. Now we're just doing the same process banks call arbitrage to be our own bank and our own lender. And that ties in so beautifully with real estate, because now instead of money sitting inert in a savings account or a CD, it's sitting in something that my private reserve accounts grew at 12 and 14% last year. This is 14,000 times better than the money was doing in the bank. So that when they say the interest saving, I mean, the interest earned, it feels like something happened versus that 4 cents that kept coming. Oh, does anybody else get those from their savings?
Facts.
It's like,
Absolute facts.
but so now those were the things that MWR did before we started our real estate partnership in March of this year. We partnered with US Home Exchange, and they had done $100 million in real estate flips before they ever met us. So if you think about it, the private banking, the land banking, all of those things, we worked through our wealth accumulation team. But the game changer for us, if you think about the culture of what we're building here, well, you've got a community of people that have good credit, low debt to income ratios, are investment minded, and value assets that outpace inflation. What outpaces inflation better than anything in the world? Real estate. It just makes sense. So with our real estate partnership, what we were able to do is in 3 phases. So if you want to buy a house, sell a house, flip, or invest in property, or you're a real estate professional and just want to extend your practice and make more money on the deals you do with us, it's a one-stop shop for those things. I'll go through these at a high level, and we do have some courses coming up in our Financial Edge University to go deeper into any of these categories. But the first place we help, Robin, is with the MWR real estate program, is actually with the Fire My Landlord program, meaning we're systematically looking for that group of people that might not be able to qualify or buy a house traditionally, to put them in a position where we find a house. Now, what do we need to find a bright house for them? We need professionals in each market. Meaning, what would your job be? Similar to what Stephanie's doing in her market, identifying properties that might be off market, right? Because you got to think about it. I know everybody's talking about retail inventory being low. This person also has a ramp between when they can buy and how much is needed to flip. Now, at the same time, we identify and partner with investors through our capital contributor program to put people in a position where they're able to invest in the property. But as a certified realtor with MWR, you get to separate yourself from the other 4 million realtors first, because you have a solution to a problem that most people have. Second, the financial metrics work out great, meaning your brokerage and real estate agency stay the same. You don't change anything about those things, but any of the people that qualify for and come through our certified buyer program, they get the benefit of the enhanced forensically improved credit, but you get paid an additional $600 from us if you find the buyer, and $600 if you refer the property, right? Your 3 to 4% of what you, 3 to 6% what you would normally get in a transaction, and then 1% of the after repair value once the property's fixed up and sold. Does that make sense? High level? So it's basically, you're gonna sell a house anyway, now you're able to extend, and you end up with more people talking about you. I can't think about, I shudder to think about how many people talk about Stephanie Stewart to other people. You from Wisconsin? You must know Stephanie Stewart, right? But then the second win. So it's one win. Person that might be a lifelong renter learns the process, gets a property. You as a realtor make more money. And then those of us that have decided real estate, what we want to be a part of our portfolio, we started first with our capital contributor program, where we invest in the property as capital contributors, because flipping ain't easy. This is one thing I do know, is that there are so many courses out there to teach novice real estate investors how to do real estate flips, but we're actually doing deals together. MWR, along with our capital contributors, they're able to invest in a property. And instead of a traditional transaction, I won't go through the numbers breakdown. Let's just talk about this at a high level. Make 20% per annum on the money that we loan. So say, for example, right now, I'm placing a capital contribution for $20,000, right? Company, the average flip for us is taking between 3 and 8 months, but they pay us a year's interest fixed. So $4,000 is what we make off that portion of the deal. Does that make sense? At the same time, we make an additional 1% of the after repair value. So for us, that's $200,000 deal, gets $2,000 out. Your $20,000 made $6,000 in less than a year, right? And I didn't have to go to Home Depot. I didn't have to swing a hammer. It was the money making money, so that we end up with the win for the buyer, the investor, and the team. And we provide the certified contractors around the country to do that work. Does that make sense? So it ends up being that great relationship where now we're able to help people save their money first, grow their money through different investment vehicles that, by the way, work together. Because guess where the $20,000 is for my capital contribution? In the private reserve account. Take $20,000 out and have it working like all $50,000 is still there. It's the money doing two things instead of one. It's a huge win. All right. So let me pause for a second and make sure there are no questions on what we've covered at a high level, because there's so many people taking advantage of the membership. And this young lady went from $356 to $763, bills going down, checks going up. But more and more people like Charles and Judith got their scores up, built their private reserve accounts, were able to buy the land and pay in full their lakefront dream home. Well, property that they're going to build the home on. Shana was able to get her first home. It's just so many people doing those things. And then the blessing is that's two levels of collaboration. Level one, just refer to membership. People try it, they get their house in order, and you make some money just helping them get ready. Two, in the transaction. As you go do deals, I mean, you'll still have all the traditional deals you do, but now you've got this new pipeline of people that know you as the expert on this program with access to forensic credit repair, all in that $80 membership, right? Third level of collaboration, and in my opinion, the winner is now you become a broker with MWR, taking advantage of our business system. Meaning we save money, grow money, but also make money through referrals. It's word of mouth. We share what has happened for us, and the company pays us an amazing way. They pay us 10 different ways. I don't even have time to go into detail about each of them. But what I'll say is this. Have you ever referred something to someone? A movie, a book, a mechanic? Yeah. When you refer the membership, they pay us up front, but also pay us on a residual basis. But also you get the benefits of the lifestyle bonuses, multiple paydays. We get paid daily, monthly, and quarterly in this business based on the size of the referral network we built using the leverage, just like a real estate broker. Does that make sense? Meaning, well, so if you think about it this way, one of the benefits that we get is as your referral network grows, basically around 50 people is where the first tier of luxury vehicle bonus is. It's $500 a month. Now, will $500 retire anybody on this line? No, not unless you're already retired. but will it cover your car note and insurance? Yes. And if that's already coming in, you know that the car note's already paid, whether a house gets sold this month or not. Does that make sense? Second tier, network continues to grow, $1,250, then $3,000 a month. That becomes, at that point, just that continual residual cash flow based on leverage. So that $3,000 a month, but that covers the car and the mortgage. Would that take care of it for most of you? I know for me, we'd be just in there. It's like, those are already taken care of. I can worry about different things. We also, one of our favorite things is the idea of daily pay, meaning as your network grows, pay anywhere from $5 to $1,000 per day. So somewhere between $150 and $30,000 per month. And there's so many people generating that income. This is my good friend, Christy. I've actually known her now for 20 years. Her son's a grown man, but she started off as a bartender, but she was able to get her credit scores up into the 800. She makes no less than $200 a day. That's $6,000 a month in passive leveraged residual based on helping people get access to the membership that we talked about already. You got Don and Ruthie that you've seen already. You got so many people that have mixed this into an existing business or business practice because it enhances and increases the benefits from the things that we're able to do. And then the last person I want to share with you today is Brian Bean. He's the guy I talked to that explained the concept of income shifting to me 2 years ago. And it changed the game for me. He's done nothing but build businesses and business systems since age 22, is, founder of our movement, the extra digit movement. I did not explain that. The extra digit movement, our goal is to add an extra digit to your net worth on the front side. Right? But he just bought Bean Acres, 20 acres down on the south side of Atlanta, where Ludacris is his neighbor on one side, and it used to be Cam Newton, but he got traded. I don't know who the new football player is. And then Denzel Washington's son is on the other side. So we're starting to get that quality of conversation where, as we teach people, we're able to do new and different things with 100,000% ROI, meaning he took the investment that we made in this business, $28, turned it into $28,000. So 100,000% ROI. Make sense? So I tell people, I didn't make this up. I found somebody who was doing what I wanted to do at a level I wanted to do it, align myself, and we are building something significant together. Like I say, we always have continuing education. As a matter of fact, never mind the date of this. Tomorrow, Money Making Monday, my brother, Chuck Hardon, one of the first district directors in the state of Georgia, along with my best friend, Sean Hill, who's was able to retire from his 25-year teaching career in less than a year based on applying these principles. They'll be teaching step-by-step, word for word, how to build business. And then every Thursday, we have continuing education in the Financial Edge membership for people to learn how to operate with the experts and get the most from their membership, because the more you learn, the more you earn. All right. So at the end of this conversation, I tell people all the time, Steph, it's a win-win for everybody. Meaning, as a buyer with our Financial Edge membership, the customer, your end customer, gets to restore their credit, increase equity in their home, lower their debt to income ratio, increase their buying power and take home pay by reducing their taxes. If they do have more significant issues, because I know we touched on very basic things today, but if you got bad debts or liens or tax liens, those kind of releases that Pia talked about, there's a team in place to help with that so that they can own a home, not just be the servicer to the mortgage company. But at the same time, as an agent, you get the distinction of now creating and cultivating clients instead of competing and buying leads. You get to turn renters into buyers, even get paid on your turn down. There's the ability to recapture any of the past turns that have been out there. We couldn't do business together before, but I think I can help. And then increase the pipeline. And then the most important thing is just separate yourself from the millions out there that say, you know, I've got a flashy card with this realty company, but I can help. And then really the only way that clients lose is if you choose not to participate. So that being said, that's my time for today. Here's my goal. I tell people at the end of our conversation, there's generally two categories of people in the whole world. Whole world. Number two says, I'd like to collaborate at the membership level, meaning, I don't necessarily want to generate an extra stream of income, but I would love to have the experts expand my cash flow. The investment to get access to that team is $79 a month. And we do have a referral program for members where if you refer 3 other members, your access to the experts is free. Second type person like myself, like Stephanie, they're number one. I'm all in. I want to increase my cash flow and earn daily income, $228 one time, $119 a month. Just text a person that invited you, let them know which level of collaboration makes most sense to you. But I do leave with this firm admonition to everybody that's out there in the real estate profession. Don't just be a real estate agent, be a change agent. If you want to attract customers with 780 to 820 credit scores, debt to income ratio under 20%, with cash on hand, ready to make the next sound investment, understand that we attract what we are, not just what we want. Make sure to put the membership to work for you too, so that you can be that light to attract those people that change the game. All right, with that, I will end our recording, but I'll leave some time for questions. Anybody have any questions? Did I cover everything?
Robin's got a question.
Okay, hey, Robin.